Hi, I'm Rebecca Jimenez, and I'm an English teacher at Artesia High School. I am introducing my TED Talk unit guide for the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So I start by always giving this explanation to my students, so that's exactly how I'm going to present it to you. So over the next few weeks of this semester, we're going to spend our time researching and writing a TED Talk to present to our peers. Now, I know that sounds a little intimidating. However, it's important to remember that everyone is a little anxious about giving a speech or even talking in front of their peers, and that's okay. So we are going to engage in the transaction of knowledge. We're going to exchange ideas between the speaker and the listeners, the emotions that go along with that process. We're going to walk away from this feeling inspired, stretched, motivated, and creative. Throughout the entire unit, you are going to engage in speaking and listening. This is part of our standards. We have speaking and listening standards. And they are very important that we understand how to speak and how to listen in an academic setting. It helps you to expand your knowledge by listening to other people's perspectives and ideas, as well as research that they've done to become an expert. Yes, I said an expert in this particular topic that they've chosen. So you each are going to become experts in the topic that you have chosen. For this unit, you're going to be creating a simulation of a real TED Talk. Now, your TED Talk is not going to go on TEDx. It won't even go on YouTube, but that is the goal of this, is to create a TED Talk that could potentially be on the TED website. So like I said, we're working on this speaking and listening component of this. Now, this isn't heavily inundated with research, but it is important that you do know you will need to do some research over this. And in our packet that we're going over, you'll see exactly what that looks like. So the next page on here is going to be our tasks, and the due dates are going to be given at the end of class. We'll put each due date in there so you know exactly when everything is due and you don't miss a due date. That way you are ready to go when your presentation time is scheduled. The next one is our essential question. Our essential question, our overall question for this novel is, are humans inherently good or evil? And there's some extra essential questions that you can think about when you go to answer or give your TED Talk or speech when you start researching. There's other topics, tons of topics that have to do with humans' inherent goodness or evilness. So our standards, clearly we have reading and writing, but we want to really focus on the speaking and listening in an academic setting. Again, they're listed on here so you know exactly what we're going to be working on, because we all know how important those standards are to not just meet but master. The next is going to be a calendar of what we're going to do each and every day in class, so you don't get behind or lost if you're absent. You know exactly what you should be doing. And then the next one is the expectations of this speech. The objective is to deliver a clear, engaging, professional speech with a clear message. So you're going to see the guidelines for the TED Talk, how I'm going to grade you, and the actual directions that you need in order to complete this TED Talk. The grading rubric is right here, so you know exactly how I'm going to grade this and the criteria that I'm going to use to grade your paper. Here are some topic ideas. Now, this list is not all-inclusive, which means there are many other topics you could use. Make sure you run those by me if you are unsure. And then here are the essential questions that you are going to consider answering that relate directly back to if humans are inherently good or evil. So those are the essential questions that you can answer. This disclaimer page is just going to be a disclaimer that you recognize this is not technically a real TED conference, but it is one that we want to emulate as much as possible. The next one is listening to TED Talks. We're going to listen to a few TED Talks, the first one being The Psychology of Evil by Philip Zimbardo. This is going to give you a good idea of things, of TED Talks you can watch in order to research and get more information. There is also an individual choice. It can be used as a resource if it is related to your topic. And then structure. This one is very important. We are going to learn what the structure of a TED Talk looks like, or any great speech. There is a definite structure. It has a shape to it, and we are going to make sure that we watch that so we can create a really good speech. This is a catalyst for you to write. It is going to give you a kind of an outline. You're going to start with a hook and your topic, and then you're going to go into how you're going to prove your claim in there, and then the type of ending that you want. So you'll use this to help structure your TED Talk. This will be your resource list, and this is where you are going to put what you found, where you found it, and what information you're going to use from that. Now, because this is a 3 to 5 minute speech, 5 sources may be a lot, but it's better to have too many than not enough. So we're going to start with a little heavy on those. The next is the visual aid planning. So this is going to be PowerPoints or slide deck, and you can use images on here as you wish. They must be school appropriate images, and they must be related to your topic. Then your sentence at the bottom would just be what you're thinking about talking about or explaining from those slides. So if you're talking about psychology, you could do a psychology slide here and then just tell a little bit about it there so you remember when you're going to use those slides, because the timing of the slides are very important. So speaking with a visual aid helps really emphasize the point that you're making. So it's important that you have that with your speech as well. We're going to revise using ethos, pathos, logos, and sending a message. So you will revise your speech. You are going to write your speech down in essay format, and then you are going to revise it using this so you are able to get some emphasis in there, maybe ethos, maybe pathos, logos, and making sure that you are sending a clear message at the time of your speech. Practicing is super important, especially for public speaking. 90% of your anxiety, now that's not an actual fact, but much of your anxiety can be alleviated by preparing properly. So this is how we are going to help alleviate any of that anxiety or stress of presenting publicly to your classmates, is to prepare. And the way we prepare is to practice. So these are going to be, you can find a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, another teacher to listen to your speech, watch you perform that speech, and they're going to give you positives and some things that you can improve on to get some growth in there. Then they'll sign that. The next one is for you to use. So you're going to choose 6 different methods in order to practice or prepare for your speech. So you can sit and read aloud. You can stand and practice with slides. You can practice in front of your assigned small group during the school day. During class, we'll have time to do that. You can watch your TED Talk on video. You can record it and watch yourself, and then you're just going to have a witness sign that, and then what you learned or what you may have changed from that. So it's very important that you're practicing in order to make your speech as good as possible. And then you'll do a final checklist, and on this final checklist, you're going to go back and make sure you have a couple of these, at least 6 of these in your TED Talk. A story, a jaw-dropping moment, visual aid, other than your slides, humor, emotion, things like that. Now, the next important aspect of this is the listening. So we don't just speak, we have to be able to listen as well in an academic setting. In order to do this, I've given you the listening guide, and you are going to write down your peer's name that is presenting, what their topic is, something positive that you learned from it, and something, or a positive that came from it, and something you learned about it. So the positive comment could be you had really good vocals, or you had really good information. And something you learned could be, I learned that all humans are born good, if that was something that you learned from that speech. Now, it's important that you do not have your phones out. You are not working on your speech at all. You are simply listening. That is part of the listening component of this unit, is making sure that when your peers are presenting and talking, that you are listening to what they are saying. And then at the end, we're going to reflect on our presentations. What could you have done better, right? So we'll do the typical sandwich method, where you have something positive, something you could improve on, and one more thing that you felt was positive in your entire experience. So it could be, I did really good research. I could have improved on my public speaking, but I also listened really, really good and learned some amazing things about other topics. So that would be the reflection that we'll do after we finish the process. So after I do that, I would give them all this information, really emphasizing the speaking and listening components of it. In this, I've also included why I use this, why I do a TED Talk. It gives them ownership over it. It allows them to choose a topic that they may be more interested than in something else. And then, of course, I've provided the links here to the novel and to the TED Talks that I use. And all of the resources are on here as well in the unit plan that I've uploaded. Thank you.